Welcome back, everybody. These are the best films of 1973. Let's check out all the classics, Oscar winners, horror, comedy, crime, drama, romance, comedy. You name it, we got it covered. These are the best films of 1973. A Charlie Brown Thanksgiving. Peppermint Patty invites herself and her friends over to Charlie Brown's for Thanksgiving. A Charlie Brown Thanksgiving. This was a short television cartoon released in 1973 all-time classic. A Brand New Life. Cloris Leachman, Martin Balsam. After 18 years of marriage, a middle-aged couple has to face the prospect of having their first child. A Brand New Life. Drama. A Touch of Class. George Segal, Glenda Jackson, Paul Sorvino. Romantic comedy about insurance man Steve Blackburn and recently divorced fashion designer Vicky Alessio. Comedy and romance. A Delicate Balance. Katharine Hepburn and Paul Scofield. A well-to-do Connecticut family is upended when the grown daughter's godparents, seized by a nameless terror, decide to come live with them. A Delicate Balance. American Graffiti. Richard Dreyfuss, Ron Howard, Paula Matt, a group of teenagers in California's Central Valley spend one final night after their 1962 high school graduation. American Graffiti. Badlands. Martin Sheen, Sissy Spacek. An impressionable teenage girl from a dead-end town and her older greaser boyfriend embark on a killing spree in the South Dakota Badlands. Badlands will not disappoint. Bang the Drum Slowly. Michael Moriarty and Robert De Niro. The story of friendship between the New York Mammoths Major League Baseball team's worldly wise pitcher Henry Wiggins and half-wit catcher Bruce Pearson. Beg, Borrow, or Steal. Mike Connors and Kent McLeod. Three disabled men, one blind, one with no legs, and one with no hands, get together to pull off a museum robbery. Drama. This movie is a gem. Birds of Prey. David Jansen, a former fighter pilot now working as a radio station traffic reporter, witnesses a bank robbery. Action, crime, and thriller. Birds of Prey. Black Caesar. Raised in Harlem, Tommy Gibbs becomes a successful mob boss, but he clashes with the rival mafia and his old enemy dirt cop McKinney, Fred Williamson, and Gloria Hendry. Black Mama, White Mama. A black prostitute and white revolutionary must form an uneasy alliance when they are busted out of prison, then pursued by guerrillas, bounty hunters, and the army. Pam Grier and Margaret Marlowe. Bloom in Love. George Segal, Susan Ansbach, and Chris Christopherson. Lawyer Stephen Bloom specializes in divorce, lives in a paradoxical situation when having his own marriage break up, is still in love with his ex-wife. Bloom in Love. The Borrowers. Eddie Albert, Tammy Grimes. An 8-year-old boy discovers a family of tiny people, only a few inches tall, living beneath the floorboards of a Victorian country home. Family fantasy. The Borrowers. Breezy. William Holden, Kay Lindsay. A young girl runs away from home and meets a grouchy old man who reluctantly takes her in. Eventually, they develop a romantic and affectionate relationship. Breezy is a great film. Cahill, U.S. Marshal, John Wayne, and George Kennedy. A tough marshal has a difficult task when his two sons join a gang and rob a bank. Drama and Western. Conflict. Trevor Howard and Ralph Malone. Set in Ireland where the Catholic Church has been superseded by a repressive order with new ideas. Conflict. This movie is a scorcher. You'll love Conflict. Charlie and the Angel. Fred MacMurray, Cloris Leachman, Harry Morgan, and Kurt Russell. Charlie is a workaholic family man that finds out from an angel that his numbers are up. Comedy, family, and fantasy. Charlie Barrett. Walter Matthau, Joe Don Baker. A man, his wife, and their friends stage a bloody bank robbery without realizing they are stealing from the mob. Heist, crime, drama, and thriller. Charlotte's Web. Debbie Reynolds, Henry Gibson, and Paul Lynde. Wilbur is a farm pig who's terrified that he'll end up on the dinner table. Hand-drawn animation. Animal Adventure. Charlotte's Web. Cinderella's Liberty. James Caan, Marcia Mason. Lonely, low-key Navy sailor John Braggs falls in love with pool-hustling hooker Maggie Paul and becomes a surrogate father figure for her 11-year-old daughter. Drama and romance. Coffee. A sexy black nurse takes vigilant justice against inner-city drug dealers after her sister becomes their latest victim. Pam Grier. Dark comedy action thriller. Notice all the black sexploitation films of the 70s, especially 73? Country Blue. An ex-convict stock car driver turns to crime to fund his escape from local bigots in rural Georgia. Adventure, crime, drama. Country Blue. Diamonds on Wheels. Patrick Allen. 3 kids get mixed up with jewel thieves and stolen diamonds in a 24-hour road rally. Comedy and family. Diamonds on Wheels. Dillinger. Warren Oates, Ben Johnson, and Cloris Leachman. John Dillinger and his gang go on a bank robbing spree across the Midwest, but one G-Man is determined to bring him down. Dillinger. Divorce His, Divorce Hers. Richard Burton, Elizabeth Taylor. The story of the breakup of an 18-year marriage as seen from the points of view of both the husband and the wife. Divorce His, Divorce Hers. Drama and romance. Don't Look Now. Julie Christie, Donald Sutherland. A married couple grieving the recent death of their young daughter are in Venice when they encounter 2 elderly sisters, one of whom is psychic and brings a warning from beyond. Psychological horror, drama, and horror. The Emperor of the North. In 1933, during the Depression, Shaq, the brutal conductor of No. 19 train, has a personal vendetta. Lee Marvin, Ernest Borgnine. The Exorcist. Ellen Bernstein and Linda Blair. When a young girl is possessed by a mysterious entity, her mother seeks the help of 2 Catholic priests to save her life. This movie, one of the scariest movies of all time, the scariest movie of 1973. Class of 44. The terrible trio of Summer of 42 has graduated high school. Now the real learning begins. For Benji, 1944 is a time to serve his country. Gary Grimes and Jerry Hauser. Drama. Firehouse. Michael Lerner, Paula Matt. Tensions arise when a previously all-white firehouse gets its first black fireman. Action and drama. Next thing we have is The Heroes. 4 soldiers and a beautiful Greek nurse thrown together in North Africa during World War II team up to pull off a heist of 2 million pounds in boxes marked plasma. The Heroes. That's with Rod Steiger. Harry in Your Pocket, James Coburn and Michael Sarrazin. A would-be criminal is taken in by professionals in the game, who teaches him how to pickpocket worth in teams. Comedy, crime, and drama. Harry in Your Pocket. Hell Up in Harlem, Fred Williamson. A gangster in Harlem must rescue his wife, who has been kidnapped by the mafia. Action, crime, and drama. Again, more black sexploitation films. Hex. Keith Carradine, Christine Rains. A group of friends who were World War I flyers ride their motorcycles across America in search of what they believe their generations lost during the war. Drama, horror, and western. High Plains Drifter, Clint Eastwood. A gunfighting stranger comes to the small settlement of Largo and is hired to bring the townsfolk together in an attempt to hold off 3 outlaws who are on their way. High Plains Drifter. Hijack. David Jansen, Keenan Wynn. 2 truck drivers are hired to transport a top-secret cargo from New York to Houston. Drama and thriller. Hijack will not disappoint. The Homecoming. Cyril Cusack and Ian Holm. In a dreary North London flat, the site of perpetual psychological warfare, a philosophy professor visits his family after a 9-year absence. The Homecoming. Hurry Up or I'll Be 30. John Lekofowitz and Linda DeKoff is a critically acclaimed film of one man's frustration with his boring life. Comedy and drama. Incident on a Dark Street. A small-time hood is murdered just as he is about to blow the whistle on an organized crime ring. James Olsen and David Canary. Incident on a Dark Street. Legal drama, crime, and drama. Invasion of the Bee Girls. William Smith and Anita Ford. A powerful cosmic force is turning Earth women into queen bees who kill men by wearing them out sexually. Horror and sci-fi. Invasion of the Bee Girls. Jesus Christ Superstar. Film version of the musical stage play presenting the last few weeks of Christ's life told in an anachronistic manner. Rock musical, drama, history, and musical. Great film. Jeremy, Robbie Benson, and Glynis O'Connor. Shy cellist boy meets upperclassman ballet student girl at school. They experience first-time love, then happenstance pulls them apart. Jeremy, teen romance. Jory, John Marley and B.J. Thomas and Robbie Benson. Jory is a 15-year-old boy who joins a horse drive after his father is killed by a drug guard. Drama and Western. Jory. Kid Blue. At the turn of the century, with the Old West fading away, Texas train robber Kid Blue goes straight and takes a factory job, but old habits die hard. Dennis Hopper and Warren Oates. Lady Ice. Donald Sutherland and Jennifer O'Neill. An insurance investigator romances a wealthy young beauty when he suspects she may be involved in fencing stolen jewels. Lady Ice. Come in, Lady Ice. Las Bestias del Terror. A young heiress is kidnapped by two aspiring thieves who are then captured by a mad scientist. It's up to the police, Santo and Blue Demon, the Mexican wrestlers, to rescue them. The Last Detail. Jack Nicholson and Randy Quaid. Two Navy men are ordered to bring a young offender to prison, but decide to show him one last good time along the way. The Last Detail, one of the great movies, comedy and drama. The Last of Sheila. Richard Benjamin and James Coburn. A year after Sheila is killed by a hit-and-run driver, her wealthy husband invites a group of friends to spend a week on his yacht playing a scavenger hunt mystery game. The game turns out to be all too real and all too deadly. Lolly Madonna XXX. In the early 1970s, a young woman passing through rural Tennessee unintentionally gets caught in a feud between two local neighboring clans. The Long Goodbye. Elliot Gould and Sterling Hayden. Private Eye Philip Marlowe helps friend Terry Leno out of a jam and is implicated in his wife Sylvia's murder. Hard-boiled detective comedy and crime. Lost Horizon. Peter Finch. Sally Kellerman. While escaping war-torn China, a group of Europeans crash in the Himalayas. Mountain adventure, adventure, and drama. Lost Horizon. Lucky Luciano. Lucky Luciano. Will not disappoint. Lucky Luciano. Biopic of mafia boss Lucky Luciano covering his life from 46 to 1962 with occasional flashbacks. The Macintosh Man. A member of British intelligence assumes a fictitious criminal identity and allows himself to be caught. Paul Newman, Dominique Sandra, and James Mason. Thriller, The Macintosh Man. Magnum Force, action, crime, mystery, and thriller. Clint Eastwood and Hal Holbrook. Inspector Dirty Harry Callahan pursues a conspiracy of vigilant cops. Magnum Force. Mean Streets. Robert De Niro, Harvey Keitel. In New York City's Little Italy, a devoutly Catholic mobster must reconcile his desire for power, his feelings for an epileptic lover, and his devotion to his troublesome friend. Gangster crime, drama, and thriller. Miracle on 34th Street with Sebastian Cabot and Jane Alexander. A department store Santa tries to convince a little girl, who doesn't believe in Santa, that he is Santa Claus. Drama, family, and fantasy. My Name is Nobody. Terrence Hill and Henry Fonda. A young, easygoing gunman worships and competes with a famed gunfighter, insisting that he must face down a gang of 150 outlaws before he can retire. My Name is Nobody. Mystery in Dracula's Castle. Clu Gallagher, Mary Hartley. Two brothers and a stray dog stumble upon some jewel thieves in a lighthouse. Mystery in Dracula's Castle. This was great in 1973. One Little Indian. On the run from the cavalry, a man tries to disappear while being accompanied by 2 camels and a runaway boy. James Garner and Vera Miles and Pat Hingle. Outrage, Robert Culp, Marilyn Mason. One man decides to wage war against a gang of teenage punks besieging an affluent California community, based on a true incident, crime, drama, and thriller. Outrage. Paper Moon. During the Great Depression, the con man finds himself saddled with a young girl who may or may not be his daughter, and the two forge an unlikely partnership. Ryan O'Neal and Tatum O'Neal. Paper Moon, comedy, crime, and drama. A film for the ages. Papillon. Steve McQueen and Dustin Hoffman. A French convict in the 1930s befriends a fellow criminal as the two of them begin serving their sentence in the South American penal colony of Devil's Island, and they inspire a plot to escape. Pat Garrett and Billy the Kid. Pat Garrett is hired as a lawman on behalf of a group of wealthy New Mexico cattle barons to bring down his old friend Billy the Kid. James Coburn and Chris Christopherson. Biography, drama, and western. Pioneer Woman. Despite some initial hesitations, a family from the East decides to try their luck by settling in the harsh and dangerous West in 1867. Joanne Pettit and William Shatner. The Train Robber. A gun hand named Lane is hired by widow Mrs. Lowe to find gold stolen by her husband so that she may return it to start fresh. John Wayne, Anne Margaret, and Rod Taylor. Next up we have is Super Dad. Bob Crane, Kurt Russell. A father tries to help his daughter meet better friends, only to find his meddling backfires after he finds out that his daughter's friends are the best thing for her. Super Dad. Comedy and family. Walt Disney. The Herod Experiment. Don Johnson, James Whitmore, Bruno Kirby. At the Ivy League Herod College, Professor Philip Tennessee and his wife Margaret incorporate a course of sexual relations into its curriculum. The Herod Experiment. The Paper Chase. A first-year law student at Harvard Law School struggles with balancing his coursework and a woman, unaware that she has a connection that affects their relationship. The Paper Chase. Timothy Bottoms and John Houseman. Robin Hood. Brian Bedford and Phil Harris. The story of a legendary British outlaw portrayed with the characters and anthropomorphic animals. Robin Hood. Hand-drawn animation. Salty. Two siblings orphaned by a hurricane are taken in by a Bahamas marina owner. They befriend a sea lion, have adventures. Mark Slade, Nita Falk. Comedy, drama, and family. Santo and Blue Demon versus Dracula and the Wolfman. Again, the Mexican wrestlers Santo and Blue Demon are fighting the Wolfman and the Werewolf. Great thriller, horror, and beautiful color. Save the Tiger. Jack Lemmon, Jack Guilford. Troubled garment manufacturer Harry Stoner tries to make his small, debt-ridden factory survive. Hires an arsonist to burn down a building so Harry can collect the insurance money. He pimps for clients and has flashbacks to the war. Peg-leg, musket, and saber. A peg-leg pirate is searching for treasure with the help of a young boy, teen girl, and a parrot. Will have to fight natives and his former crew on the way. Kirk Douglas, Mark Lester. Scarecrow. Gene Hackman, Al Pacino. An ex-con drifter with a penchant for brawling is amused by a homeless ex-sailor, so they partner up as they head east together. Scarecrow. Scream, Blackula, Scream. William Marshall and Don Mitchell. The vampire Mamualdi is resurrected by voodoo and forced to kill again. Scream, Blackula, Scream. Serpico. Al Pacino. John Randolph. An honest New York cop named Frank Serpico blows the whistle on rampant corruption in the force, only to have his comrades turn against him. Serpico, cop drama, police procedural, drama. Shaft in Africa. Richard Roundtree, Frank Finley. Private investigator John Shaft is recruited to go undercover to break up a modern slavery ring where young Africans are lured into Paris to do chain gang work. Seamus. Burt Reynolds, Diane Cannon. Millions in diamonds are stolen from a safe in New York City, and later the burglar is killed. Seamus is paid $10,000 by the owner to find the diamonds or the killer. Seamus. Showdown. Two men who have been friends since childhood find themselves on opposite ends of the law. Rock Hudson and Dee Martin. Susan Clark. Drama Western Showdown. This is a scorcher. Sisters. Margot Kidder. Jennifer Salt. A small-time reporter tries to convince the police she saw a murder in the apartment across from hers. Sisters. Psychological horror and thriller. Slaughter's Big Ripoff. Jim Brown and McMahon. Vigilant Slaughter comes under attack from Duncan, a local money launderer whose hitman trapped Slaughter in a car at a cliff. Action, crime, drama, and thriller. Snatched. Howard Duff, Leslie Nielsen. The wives of three wealthy men are kidnapped and held for a $3 million ransom, but one of the men doesn't want to pay his share. Snatched. Soylent Green. Charlton Heston, Edward G. Robinson. A nightmarish futuristic fantasy about the controlling power of big corporations and an innocent cop who stumbles on the truth. The Stone Killer. Charles Bronson, Martin Balsam, Jack Colvin. A top New York detective is sent to Los Angeles, where he must solve a case involving an old Sicilian mafia family feud. Action, crime, drama, and thriller. Cleopatra Jones, more black sexploitation films. During the 1970s, a U.S. Special Agent Cleopatra Jones proves to be an invaluable asset to the local police forces in the war on drugs. Tamara Dobson and Bernie Casey. Terror on the Beach. Dennis Weaver, Estelle Parsons. A family's outing turns out badly as they are terrorized by a gang of young thugs. Terror on the Beach. Action, drama, and thriller. The Cheerleaders. A group of cheerleaders from the local high school decide to show their school spirit for their football team by sleeping with the opponents the night before the game so that they can be so worn out of the opposition won't be able to play. Comedy and sport. The Herod Experiment. At the Ivy League Herod College, Professor Philip Tenhausen and his wife Margaret incorporate a course on sexual relations into his curriculum, based on Robert Rimmer's novel. Don Johnson, Bruno Kirby. The Night Strangler. A reporter hunts down a 144-year-old alchemist who is killing women for their blood. The Night Strangler, Darren McGavin. The Royal Eagle. Wealthy landowner La Tigresa suffers several attacks and seeks help from Santo. The attacks continue, but Santo protects her and she falls for him. The Royal Eagle. The Three Musketeers. A young swordsman comes to Paris and faces villains, romance, adventure, and intrigue with three musketeer friends. Oliver Reed, Raquel Welch, and Richard Chamberlain. The Three Musketeers, swashbuckler action-adventure. Voyage of the Yes. Desi Arnaz Jr. and Mike Evans. Two teenagers set out on a 2,000-mile sailboat journey from California to Hawaii. Drama, Voyage of the Yes. The Werewolf of Washington, Dean Stockwell. Reporter having an affair with the president's daughter is sent to Hungary, bitten by the wolf, then transferred back to Washington, where bodies appear. Comedy and horror. The Candy Snatchers, Tiffany Malling. A non-verbal autistic boy stumbles upon a teenage heiress who has been kidnapped by a trio of young psychopaths who are intent on extorting diamonds from her stepmother. The Candy Snatchers. The Girl Most Likely to, one of the best films of all time. After an accident causes an ugly duckling girl to undergo reconstructive surgery, she emerges from behind the bandages as a ravishing beauty and seeks revenge. Starkard Channing, Ed Asner, Jim Backus. The horror at 37,000 feet. An invisible demon in the cargo hold of a jet airliner terrorizes the passengers. The horror at 37,000 feet. Chuck Connors and Buddy Epson. The Mac. Max Julian and Richard Pryor. Goldie returns from 5 years at the state pen and winds up king of the pimping game. Crime drama, The Mac. More black sexploitation films. The Neptune Factor, Ben Gazzara, and Ernest Borgnine. When an undercover ocean lab is lost in an earthquake, an advanced submarine is sent down to find it and encounters terrible danger. The Neptune Factor. The Sting. Two grifters team up to pull off the ultimate con. Caper comedy, crime, and drama. Paul Newman, Robert Redford, Robert Shaw, and Charles Durning. The Thief Who Came to Dinner. Ryan O'Neal, Jacqueline Bisset, and Warren Oates. A computer programmer decides to become a thief, and when he starts making waves, an insurance investigator hounds him. Comedy romance. The Thief Who Came to Dinner. The Way We Were. Barbra Streisand, Robert Redford. During post-World War II McCarthyism, a diametrically opposed couple come together only to find out that genuine friendship and physical attraction is not enough to overcome their societal beliefs. The Last American Hero. Jeff Bridges, Valerie Perrine. A young hellraiser quits his moonshine business to try to become the best NASCAR racer the South has ever seen. The Last American Hero. Jeff Bridges. The Man Who Loved Cat Dancing. Burt Reynolds and Sarah Miles. Western story about a defiant wife who leaves her husband to take up riding with outlaws. Drama, romance, and western. Tom Sawyer. Johnny Whitaker. Celeste Holm, Warren Oates, and Jeff East. Tom Sawyer and Huckleberry Finn investigate a suspicious graveyard murder and more in this musical version of Mark Twain's novel. The Vault of Horror. Terry Thomas. An anthology of 5 horror stories shared by 5 men trapped in the basement of an office building. The Vault of Horror. This is a scorcher. Westworld. Yul Brynner, Richard Benjamin, and James Brolin. A robot malfunctions, creates havoc and terror for unsuspecting vacationers at a futuristic, adult-themed amusement park. AI, dystopian sci-fi, and horror. White Lightning. Burt Reynolds and Ned Beatty. An ex-con teams up with federal agents to help them with breaking up a moonshine ring. Dark comedy, action, crime, and drama. Your 3 minutes are up. Beau Bridges, Ron Liebman. Charlie is a sad sack of a man working at a depressingly dull office job and stuck in a passionless engagement to a neurotic woman. Your 3 minutes are up. Live and Let Die. James Bond is sent to stop a diabolically brilliant heroin magnate armed with a complex organization and a reliable psychic tarot card reader. Roger Moore and Yaphet Kotto. Walking Tall. Joe Don Baker and Elizabeth Hartman. And Leif Garrett. Based on the life of Tennessee Sheriff Buford Pusser, who almost single-handedly cleaned up his small town of crime and corruption. Walking Tall. Those were the best films of 1973. What were your films that you enjoyed of 1973? If I left out any movies, it was not intentional. My lists are usually all-inclusive. They try to be. But there's going to be a few films here and there that I may miss. So don't come for me if I missed out on a movie or, oh, you forgot to include this and you forgot this. No. All my movies are inclusive. These are the best films of These are all the best films of 1973. I recommend that you watch all of them. They're all exquisite, awesome, funny, scary, chilling. They're the best. All right. So those are the best films of 1973. Thanks for watching. I'll see you all in the next video.